ourselves while you're setting up?
Yeah,
So
could
we know who
we?
we are?
That would be lovely. Let's go around the room, you guys.
Ooh, take that.
I'm Jessica.
Dream plan do.
And
Yes.
we actually met at an alumni event this summer at the old Stone House, and I was really impressed and excited what Ms. Hunter had to offer, so I was like, she needs to come and be a part of one of our meetings. So I think your energy and your kind of wisdom is going to be really impactful. So
Thank you.
we're excited to have you here. And I work for an art shipping company.
I'm Sam, and I work for The Moth. I'm a producer.
I'm Jess. I am a casting composer producer for a TV show.
I'm Marilyn. I do fundraising for an experimental theater company called Elevator Repair Service.
My name is Minchi Kim. I work as a communications and events coordinator for the International Society for the Performing Arts, which is an organization membership-based association which hosts an annual conferences for the professionals in the performing arts field.
I'm Jamie Burns. I work in literary programming at PEN America, which is a human rights nonprofit that advocates for free speech and on behalf of writers that have been threatened or imprisoned or endangered for their work.
I'm Hannah. I work for Flamenco Vivo. We're a Spanish dance company based here in New York. I was a fellow with Almaya and now on the board.
Same, fellow with Onaya, and now I'm on the board. Alicia Boone, associate curator for public programs at Brooklyn Museum. So.
My name is Victoria. I was also a fellow and am now on the board. I am the program operations manager of events here at Mentor.
Very good. It's such a pleasure to meet you guys all. This is going to be a really great night. I just want to encourage you guys to be this is informal, just like a talk between girls, just kind of like having a conversation. So we'll go through some of the points I have today for tonight's presentation, but it's really about you guys, and I want to know what your questions are, your ideas, anything that's shown here. Please feel free to raise your hand, and this is a conversation for sure. So I'm really glad to be here. Again, my name is Arian Hunter, and I met Jessica not too long ago at her recent presentation and learned just a lot about what you guys are up to and what you're doing here in the arts. And it's just a great way to sort of get involved. So I'm really glad to be here with you guys today. So as you can see, our presentation today, our talk today is about dream plan doing. So my emphasis today for our talk tonight is on dreaming, okay? So a lot of times we don't really get this opportunity to dream, right? To really sort of voice what it is that's on our hearts, callings that we feel compelled to really sort of do in the world, and this is a night for us to really sort of connect with what those callings are, create some sort of action behind those callings, and to make that commitment. So I invite you all to sort of to step into that today. So we'll start off tonight with a quote by Gloria Steinem. Great. There we go. Without leaps of imagination or dreaming, we lose the excitement of possibilities. Dreaming, after all, is a form of planning. So I really want to just invite you all to bring the word dream into your vocabulary. When was the last time you were asked, what are your dreams? Right? Like, aside from a time when you were 3 years old and you were asked, what do you want to be in the world? Today, what are your dreams, right? What do you want to do in the world? What's your mission? What's your vision? And really sort of have sort of commitment to that. So that's what we'll be talking about today. All right. But before I get into the next slide, I just want to share a little bit about my story and sort of how I came into this work. So I'm the founder of Project She Went for Her Dreams, which is a platform for empowering women to connect with their mission, their vision, their dreams, right? Leaving the status quo behind and really connecting with the thing that they feel called to do in this world, no matter what that is. I'm a career coach, and I work with women sort of to understand what their transition is from where they are to where they want to be. How I got here on this journey was really just not, something that I had on my checklist of things that I wanted to do in my career. It was just one of those things that kind of, wake up one day and sort of connect to the thing that you want to do. I started out in an MBA business path, got my degrees, got the certificate, do the things that they say that you should do in order to achieve certain level of success in this world. Did all of those things and sort of had a disconnect with the work that I was doing. I ended up in advertising and marketing. Did not really like what I was doing at all. Didn't feel like I was contributing my gifts in a meaningful way, and thought that I needed to change. Of course, at the time, there's never really an answer. It's like, okay, I know that I don't like what I'm doing, but I don't know what it is that I'm here to do. So that was sort of the moment that I was in, and sort of opened this sort of self-inquiry of what is it that you want to do in the world? What is the impact that you want to leave behind? And these are some of the questions, and I know they're really big, and they're not going to be answered tonight, but it's a question that I encourage you to start to ask yourself and entertain the answers to what they might be. So that's sort of what led me to where I am today, and sort of understanding what those questions were for me, and being led out of curiosity, following what they were. And here I am in front of you guys today. So, the courage to dream. So I want to say a little bit about the future career landscape. So no longer is it about working the 9 to 5, right? No longer is it about staying chained to your desk, doing a thing that is not really what you feel called to do. Businesses is not about profits anymore. It's really about connecting to this idea of purpose, connection of mission and meaningful work that we're here to do. It's a slow and steady progress, but if you pay attention to sort of the job market and the economy, over time, businesses are starting to realize, or are starting to step up to this idea of doing more conscious work. Okay, so that's the idea that I want to sort of plant in you guys today, in terms of it's not just about profits or paycheck, right? It's really about connecting with what you're here to do. It's based on talent, based on motivation, based on your values, based on the things that you feel that you are called here to do. It's about challenging the status quo. So again, it's not about chaining yourself to the desk for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, but it's about really connecting with not only the thing that you feel called to do, but aligning with how you do your best work. Do you work well in sort of a flexible schedule, right? Do you work well in teams, community, right? So these are some of the questions that we want to ask ourselves. Dreaming big, being bold in what you do, right? Asking yourself, what is a career or a bold career? What does that look like for you, right? It doesn't necessarily have to mean leaving the job that you're at right now, but it may mean sharing an idea that's been on your heart for a long time, interrupting the status quo, doing things a little bit differently than what they are, sort of used to doing. So asking what that sort of means for you. So what I believe the path to sort of a career or a purpose-driven career is beginning with the end in mind, right? So I know it's a little bit uncomfortable for us to think about, but what is it that you want to be able to say on your tombstone? I know, right? We don't want to talk about, that here today, but it's really about taking advantage of the time that you have here on this earth. What are the decisions that you want to make? Are you in a circumstance or a situation that you feel connected to or aligned to that would really align with your feeling of purpose or mission on this earth, right? So really zooming out, right? Like, what do I want my life to stand for? What do I want my career to stand for, right? Asking those questions. Again, I know that they're big questions, but these are the things that are going to help you to make the decisions today, you know, for the things that align with your mission or align to the things that you want to do on this, right? So before I go further, you know, what you'll find throughout this presentation today, that it's not just about your career. It's not about the work you do. That's only part of it. But it's part of, like, the bigger part here is, who are you, right? What are the gifts that you are here to share with the world and contribute? You know, what do you feel your purpose is here? You know, so it's not about a paycheck. It's not about just like doing your thing and then going home and at the end of the day, but the transformation, the impact that you want to make. What is the thing that sort of calls to your heart, right? And following that. Okay. So once you have that vision or that end in mind, right, you work backwards from there. It's like, okay, I want to be XYZ, right? So who do you need to be today? What decisions do you need to make today in order to align to that person that you see yourself for tomorrow? Okay, and really getting clear on what those things are. A lot of the times, this is certainly not something that I did for myself in my career path. This is not something that they teach you in college and in grad school, and you know, we don't really get a chance to stop and think about what these questions are or these deeper sort of insights are for ourselves in our career. But it's worth taking the time to really understand what is it that you feel that you need to do in the world, right? Any questions on that before we go? So far, so good? Great. So getting clear on what you want. A lot of the times that I notice either the people that I work with or me myself going through, you know, this career journey, getting clear on what we want, right? So sometimes we flounder through our career journey and not really know, like, what is it that I feel that I'm targeting right now, right? So 90 days from now, 6 months from now, 1 year from now, can you articulate what it is that you feel you want to achieve in your career, right? So again, setting aside the time to get clear on what these components are for you and working at them, right? So instead of getting it all done and doing everything that we feel we need to do in order to achieve success in our career, prioritizing them, right? What is your priorities, right? So we don't have to get everything done all at once, right? But we can prioritize the things that are important to us, right? So maybe it's getting a certain project out there in the world. Maybe it's aligning with a certain organization that we feel that would help our careers, right? What is your priority? Getting clear on what that is, right? And working from there, as opposed to feeling we need to do any and everything all at the same time, right? And giving yourself permission to dream big. This is something that I feel, particularly as women, we don't allow ourselves to give ourselves permission to want the things that we want, right? It feels too big, it feels too overwhelming, it feels like I'm not qualified to do that, right? So check in with yourself about the things that you might be saying in terms of your mission, your purpose, or what are the things that you want to achieve in the world. And what are you willing to go for even if you fail, right? Fear of failure is a big one for all of us, myself included, okay? We're not immune. And we'll talk a little bit about failures and fears later on in the presentation, but what is it that feels so big on your heart right now that you're willing to go for it no matter what happens, okay? Again, bigger questions, asking yourself what that means for you. Okay. So what is your career story? Everything that brought you to this moment in time, right? So even if you started out in a particular career path and you pivoted and now you're here, right? What were the key components that brought you to where you are today, right? So why your career story is so important is that there's so many people out there. This is New York City. It's a competitive city, right? But your story is the thing that's going to set you apart. So it's really understanding what that is for you. I like to swap out career story for your elevator pitch. I don't like using the word elevator pitch. I feel like it's just something that you're like, hello, my name is, and I do this. But your career story is a story, right? You're narrating the story that led you to where you are today. Your passions, your purpose, your commitment, right? Those are the things that set you apart from other candidates, right? So it's really getting clear on why are you here today? What does it mean to you to really, be in this career path, right? So the way I see getting to sort of the bottom line of your career story is understanding the key themes, right? Professional and personal, right? So the three things that stand out the most to you about your career and your personal life, right? So when it comes to your career, what are the achievements that you have achieved, right, throughout your career? What did it require of you? Did it require you to know a certain level of information? Did it require you to step out of your comfort zone? Did it require you to get people on board with your idea, right? These are the things that signify who you are as a career professional, right, and what you bring to the table. Same thing for your personal experiences. So activities, hobbies, life events, right, that you've been through, things that that brought you joy, their milestones, accomplishments, adversities that you've overcome, right? So these things combined together help create your career story, such that when you're in a networking event, right, and you're meeting somebody for the first time and they ask you what you do, instead of saying your job title and that's it, you can say, well, I'm passionate about XYZ and here's why, and this is what I do, okay? It changes the conversation a little bit. So again, it's worth taking time to get clear on what your career story is and what is the thing that you want people to know about you that may not be present in your elevator pitch, all right? So again, taking some time to writing down themes and patterns that you notice, your leadership, what does the experiences that you've had say about your leadership or about your professional that might be different from someone else? Okay? Any questions on that? Doing good? Okay. So I'm a big believer in knowing yourself. What are you here for? What do you do? Right? So self-awareness is something that most often when we're in the workplace, a lot of people don't take time to actually find that out, knowing yourself, right? So what do I mean by knowing yourself? Someone shout out, what do you think that means, knowing yourself?
Knowing your strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, awesome. What else?
Understanding how you function the best, what the environment looks like, what the people around you look like, how you're your best self.
Yeah, great answer. Anybody else?
Knowing the things that are challenging for you, in the opposite environment setting.
Yeah.
Difficult for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it is self-awareness, but it's also knowing, like you said, your strengths, your skills, what are you really good at. Also, how do you respond to stress? How do you respond to conflicts? Are you the person who's raising your hand and sharing a solution, or are you the person who's on board with everyone else who's like in the problem, right? So it's emotional intelligence, right? Connecting with the people within your department, within your group, the people that you work with the most. How do you engage with them, right? What do they come to you for? So knowing yourself is yes, about self-inquiry and taking the time to know how you respond best and what your strengths and things like that are, but it's also how do others perceive you, right? are you the person that they come to with a particular problem? Like, how would your managers describe you if I asked them, right? So it's really taking the time to know what these things are, so you can work on the things that are really crucial to your professional profile, and also, you know, if there are things that you want to get better at, improve on, you're seeking out opportunities to do that. Okay. So your core values. I'm a big fan of core values. So I believe they drive everything. How many of you are familiar with your core values? You kind of know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
If I chose someone in the audience today, would you know what your core values are? Yeah. So the reason why I believe core values are so important is they are core to who we are. It's the things that are important to us right here, right now. They may change over time, but it's the thing that you feel most connected to right now. So chances are, if you're feeling a disconnect with something that may be going on in your career or even in your personal life right now, there might be an imposition on your core values. So I don't know if we have copies today. Yeah, perfect. Oh, perfect. So if you can take a few minutes, just 2 minutes or so, go through the list. I want you to select your top 5 values, okay? And after you have the top 5 values, narrow it down your top 3. Take another minute or so.
This is really hard. Wait, I have it on question. Sorry.
Yeah.
The top 2 and 3 are coming out of those top 5, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Another 30 seconds. Okay, so tell me, how was this for everyone?
Hard.
Hard. A little bit hard, right? What made it hard to go through this list?
I found myself thinking, I kept trying to check in about what I value in other people and what I think people might value about me. And trying to distinguish, being very clear about which I was choosing when I selected my core value. Like, a core value for me is, like, loyalty. So, am I thinking about people valuing that in me, or that's because that's definitely something I also value in other people. So, being clear about that lens was kept like,
Great
wait,
point.
which one am I thinking about right now? That was tough.
Great point. Oh, and I'm glad you brought that up too. I feel that a lot of the things that we see in other people are just reflections of ourselves, right? So you may want to see something in someone that you yourself hold very important. And when you don't see that, it can be a direct, just imposition or just like complete disconnect with your values. So, anyone else? Yeah.
A lot of them seemed really similar to me, and like making the decision between which word I chose and like what implications those had, that was very difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else have something to share?
At first I was
Yeah.
going through like each one and being like, I think like this is me, and then as you were like saying there's only a minute left, I kept going through, I went through them faster, and then I was like, oh, there are ones that are very obviously me, so I don't know why I was like spending so much time. Like the me just jumps out. So.
Yeah. No, it's really great to know what your values are, you guys, and not just, again, it's like good to know about yourself, but these also follow you in the work that you're doing, your career, so companies have values as well, right? So if there's a direct like imposition or just like a disconnect with your values and the company, you're going to realize that very quickly. So if you have a value, let's say a high value on creativity or personal development, and the company is just not about that, they're probably about loyalty, or they're about just like profits, or which is, it's not anything bad, it's just a different, so it's important to know what might be going on for you that might be creating the disconnect. The other thing too is, and you guys can come back to this, is writing down a definition of what your values mean to you. Okay, so my definition of creativity and freedom, let's say, freedom is one of my biggest values, you guys. But that definition might be different from yours. Okay, so it's important to know what that is for you, so that when it's happening in real time, you can clearly identify what's going on there. So my definition of freedom may be different from yours and yours and yours, and that's great. That's the way it's supposed to be, but knowing or having that awareness of what it is helps you to make a decision on, things that may need to change in your life or your career. Okay? Perfect. Before we move on to that from this slide, so your why. How many people are familiar with Simon Sinek? He had this TED Talk. I highly recommend it. It's called People Don't Buy What You Do, They Buy Why You Do It. Or you can just Google Simon Sinek and it'll come up. But I thought that this was a really poignant example of being connected to your mission, right? Being connected to your mission. So he uses Apple computers as an example of people buy Apple as opposed to PCs, right? So being clear on what your mission is and what it means to you, and everyone's going to have a very different mission of what that is. That is the thing that sells you, to be honest, gets you in the door. Your opinion or your perspective is going to be very different from someone else's. So taking time to get clear on what that is for you, whether it's the work that you're here to put out in the world, a project that you're connected to, or even a company that you would like to work for, get clear on what your why is. Why do you want to do it. And again, it's not a very easy answer to answer, but it's the thing that sets you apart, just both personally and professionally. Okay, moving on. So I want to talk to you guys about inner and outer success, or just this idea of success in general. What does success mean to you? Just shout it out. Like, what sort of words come to you, phrases even?
Balance.
Success. Balance? Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. Who
Fulfillment.
else? Fulfillment. Yep.
Achievement.
Absolutely. So it's really important to know what your personal definition of success is. And what I found is it can be sliced into two different things, the inner and outer success, right? So from what we see here, inner success, right? This is something that stays with you for the long term. You can recall on a memory that you've had like 10 years ago of a success that you've had, but it's still with you. It's still something that you carry with you and feel very much proud of, versus your outer success, right? Which is just kind of like, oh, that was fun. You can kind of move on and you forget about it, you know, a week or two later. What's most important to you, right? You know, what are the things that you carry with you that represent success for you? And again, not just only in your career, but in your personal life too. Who are you being, right? What are you achieving? I think the question here, how do you achieve both? And I don't know the answer to that question, you know? And I think that's what we're here to sort of discover is like, how do you achieve that inner and outer success where you feel like you are hitting sort of the, you know, you're checking your boxes here when it comes to salary and maybe achievements, accomplishments, titles that you have, but you feel also the inner joy of something that you feel that you're bringing an impact to, right? Okay, so I want to spend a little time on how do you see the world, passenger versus driver. Right? So you can kind of tell from these definitions here, you're a passenger, right? You're a passenger to your life. Things just kind of happen. Circumstances just kind of dictate what it is that you do in the world, the jobs that you take, right? I'm a big advocate of choosing the job as opposed to it choosing you, okay? So when you're posed with a opportunity to take on a new promotion or change jobs, how much of it is your choice versus the job, like, oh, I just need to take this because XYZ reasons, right? So seeing yourself sort of as the leader of your life, no matter what your title is, no matter what you do for a living, but seeing yourself as a leader. Driver, right? So understanding your life and knowing what are the things that are important to you, what are the things that you want to achieve in your life and in your career, who is the person that you want to be